I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is Jenkins Gap. This is mile marker 12. Here's the parking area, pretty good size. There's my little red car. And I'm back up here Jenkins Gap today. I've got one more abandoned road up here I'm going to look for, so I'm going to head over this way towards the AT and cross over the AT and start heading down the west side of the mountain here. See if I can find this abandoned road. The elevation here is 2360. One-tenth of a mile into my hike. The elevation here is 2310, and that's where I came from. Up there is the parking lot, about a tenth of a mile, and this is the Jenkins Gap Trail, and the modern day trail continues on to the left that way down the west side of the mountain, and right here is the old road. Maybe you can see it here, it's all eroded and stuff, so I'm going to bushwhack this down a ways and see where it comes out. I have in my GPS the route of the current trail, this one, so if I get down here and I'm close to if I find myself close to the new trail and I decide I want to get off this one for some reason, I can call that up and see where I am. So anyway, let's start heading down here and hopefully I can get a decent GPS track. .26 miles into my hike, I'm down to 2,180 feet. I'm approximately at my map waypoint D. Not quite there yet, but almost. Still following the road, hadn't been too bad so far. And just thought I'd point this out. I noticed these two chestnut burrs laying there. And there's a bunch more of them up there actually now that and more of them over there. So there's some chestnut burrs for you. They've opened up and the chestnuts are gone. Very, very spiky, very sharp needles on the outside of those things. .36 miles into my hike. I'm down to 2,115 feet. And this road is not going, it is going down, it's going down the west side of the mountain, but it is not even close to what the Park Service has on their map. I'll have to draw when I get home, I'll have to draw the actual route. So I'm nowhere near any of my waypoints right now. But I am headed down in the right direction, so I'm just going to keep on descending. Eventually I'll get to the bottom of the mountain. So far anyway, it hasn't been that difficult to push through here. Maybe you can see it's very, very few thorny plants, and there was some, I had to push my way through a little bit of mountain laurel back there, maybe 100 yards worth of it, but that was it so far. So I'm hoping when I get down here I can rejoin the main trail somewhere. Half mile into my hike, I'm down to 1,980 feet. That's where I came from. This last couple tenths of a mile have been pretty steep. And now I'm down to a point where if you go straight, you curve around to the right and it starts going back uphill somewhere. Maybe you can see that I'm getting close to a fold in the mountain here, and I can hear water down there. And if you go to the left, looks like the right way for me to head, because that takes me, I don't want to go uphill, I want to continue going downhill. So I'm going to follow this left path and see if this takes me down closer to the stream, and hopefully another road. Eight-tenths of a mile into my hike, I'm down to 1,760 feet. And it looks like after all this, it looks like I'm heading towards my waypoint, Jenkins Eye. This road didn't go anywhere near some of the other ones, but it looks like I might be headed towards Eye. I'm within about 400 feet of that in this direction, so I'm going to keep following that. You can see that big hill up there. There's a fold in the mountain right here, so eventually I keep dropping down. I'm going to end up down here at this stream, and this stream I know runs down this way to the west and joins up with the main stream down there somewhere, so I kind of know where we are. Well, let's go down here and see if we end up anywhere near waypoint I. 0.85 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,710 feet. And that's where I came from up there. I'm close to my waypoint I, and it looks like what happens here is the road makes a hard left, because right there is the stream. Now, this is not the main stream that the current day trail follows. This is another, like an alternate branch. But the road makes a hard left here, and looks like it starts heading down this way, which is how we want to go. We want to go downstream now until this runs into the other branch, and then I should be able to pick up the main trail for my hike back up the side of the mountain. I don't want to have to bushwhack my way back all the way back up to the gap. .1 miles into my hike, I'm down to the main trail now. The elevation here is 1,570 feet, and that's where I came from. Those rocks piled up there, that's the low side of the road. It's coming around a bend there, and it comes down to here, and then hooks up with the modern day road right here. So this is the way I'm going to head back. Here's the one stream right here. Its trail's blazed yellow, and over here's the other stream. That stream over there is the one that I followed down on the old road, and then they join together right down here somewhere right before you leave the park. So I don't see much point in me following this another half a mile or whatever to the park boundary, because I don't think I've been down there before. I don't recall anything spectacular. If you follow this road far enough, you'll end up in Browntown. So I'm going to turn around and take the easy way back up. It's longer, this way's longer, but it's not as steep. And also I don't have to bushwhack. So maybe as I get higher up on the mountain, I can get a few shots for you. Oh, one other thing. That road that I came down on right there, when you get down here to this side, this bank, it looks like once upon a time there might have been an old road that just followed this branch up this side. So that's another thing that could possibly be explored another day. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and start heading back up towards my car. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Jenkins Gap, 1994, and the purpose of the hike was to bushwhack an old abandoned road that I noticed on the west side of Jenkins Gap. Jenkins Gap is right here. You park, there's a big parking lot here at Jenkins Gap on the west side here of Skyline Drive. This is mile marker 12. And then you get on, there's a little connector trail that brings you over to the Appalachian Trail. And then you continue on. Now, the green is the existing trail, okay, that's supported by the Park Service. And this pink color is the trail that I bushwhacked. Now, I got the idea of looking for this from some older maps that I'll show you here in a minute or two. Anyway, as soon as you pass the Appalachian Trail, you start descending fairly steeply, and you'll reach a point where the existing trail obviously goes to the left. And if you look over towards the right, you'll see the remains of an old road over here heading to the right. So I started bushwhacking that. Now when I got down to about here, I realized that I really didn't have any trouble following the road, so I knew I was on the road. But I also realized that it wasn't even close to where the old Park Service map showed this road. I'll show you that in a minute. So, but I mean, notice this road pretty much takes you straight here to in a northwestern direction until you approach this feeder stream, which is way over here. Then it makes a hard left and starts to descend down this way, and then it makes a kind of a sweeping turn until you approach the stream again, and then finally down to here. This is where these two feeder streams come together. This one, here's one of them, and here's the other one. Those two streams come together, and just before that is where this old road joins in with the existing one. So I came down to here, and then I didn't want to bushwhack my way back up, so I went ahead and got on the current day trail back up to my car like that. Now, Shenandoah National Park has an online historical record system. Here's a printout of one of the of the Jenkins Gap area. These names, this tract of land was owned by, when the park was created, was owned by A.G. Bailey, and it's in Warren County, and this is historic tract number 5. And here is the modern day trail right here, like that. Notice it's got this dog leg in it and then a hairpin turn right here. And then here's where the Park Service is showing the old trail. And notice it starts out in a northwestern direction for a while, but then it makes a turn and comes down here and it heads almost straight for this hairpin turn, and then supposedly crosses a stream and then back up like this and then down. I mean, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, if you compare that with what it actually does, here's that hairpin turn. It doesn't go anywhere near the hairpin turn. It just continues on until you start approaching this other stream over here, and then it comes down, makes a sweeping turn, and then finally down like that. So anyway, this is the true route. I'll show it on my when I do the my GPS track. You'll see what the actual track is, but I tried to plot it right here. Ended up being 2.4 miles and a total ascent of 827 feet. And that was the hike for today.